I do know, I heard this morning, Michael, when we talk about joy, he's going to want us to use all different senses. And so kind of put together as we roll along from one class to another, as much as you want to be involved. Again, there's no pass or fail grade in this kind of thing. Largely the more we attend to something, the more it becomes us. So let's start with Michael. Michael, would you like a centering exercise or something, or sharing of the work that you ask us to do as we get going, focusing most of our time on the power of joy? He says, well, I very much welcome the opportunity to be called upon first and foremost. Some of you I've heard thought I was very funny or sort of funny the last time, and I appreciate that because I'll try to be funny again, although I can't promise it all the time. The purpose of humor is as a tool, and you may not need an angel to tell you this, but it can get lost in the wayside of the weight of the world, of what might be going on, and any health struggles or financial opportunities or struggles or things of this nature. So I promise to be humorous, say that humor probably a little bit later in our time together in a more solemn, reverent way. Honor each and every one of you that, again, have taken some time and consideration and really placed faith in this vessel to share our time with you in as graceful and as gracious, empowering way as possible. This particular meditation would just take us into a centering. It's not a visualization meditation. It will take us to other higher planes of existence. We may do that later. I do plan to do that later in one of our teachings. Might be the gratitude teaching. So right now, if we did it very similar before, just imagine that we are a group. We're united by our hearts. If your hearts and minds want to imagine that we're united or reunited in a circle. The circular form itself has sort of no end. It's continual in way. If our eyes are closed, our intentions are set. I just ask each and every one of you to take just a moment, connect with your breath, try to distract yourselves for the next hour and the other things that you may have going on in your lives, and set your own personal intention for our time here today. We'll let this personal intention-setting time be the basis of our beginning. Michael's saying perhaps one of your intentions might be learning from others. Perhaps an intention might be learning something new about yourself. All right, if I have given enough space of this intention setting, some of you I think would probably like to linger longer. Let's do as we've been proposing here, open up the mics, see what went down with the work that's gone on before. I see some of it. I don't want to spoil it. I'd like the group to share what the group did in any order. Perhaps maybe raising of the hands, sharing in a written or verbal way, as this is the way that the transmission is happening. Let's see who wants to start first. Maybe let's do the tally of the red string or wrist to the other. So, Linda, let's go ahead and do that and see if you all were faithful. I'm just playing with you. And if not, we'll move on. We'll just keep exploring and learning in our time here together. There are some, so let's just open that up. Did anyone happen to do that whole exercise, Michael, one of them from last time, about the string, and to tally how many times someone thought of love and then moving it back over?
I did.
Woohoo!
Yeah, gosh, it was after I got it figured out down to a system, but it was almost like my brain, and I know it was being rewired. So what an awesome opportunity, an exercise that was. And oh my gosh, just the awareness, that string being on my left arm and then moving it over was awesome. I had a lot of fun with it. I tried to keep up with the tailing, but it was more like a mental thing after a few days. But no, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
And I appreciate that comment. Did the tally go up, you think?
Yeah, I think so. And just being aware, sometimes I can be so hard on myself and just inundated with criticism. And the tally did go up, and the awareness that I was of the loving thoughts that I was having for myself are there, and that just made it more abundant.
Well, I appreciate you sharing. You know, the critical mind can creep up, and wonderful sharing there. How about anyone else?
This is Renee.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that for me, the tallying made me, not so much as the tallying as it made me aware if I was saying something negative, it would stop me in my track. Because it's like, oh, wait a minute, we're supposed to be having loving thoughts. So it would make me switch that mode right away by just that exercise.
I love that. I have to love that. These exercises, I guess it goes without saying, and I'm not, of course, channeling this, but let's keep it up, right? It's not a week thing and then we disappear, Keep the exercises as we get going, Michael, because with Michael and all our other helper friends and your own inner knowing, because oftentimes it's referred to the monkey mind, and it sounds like that exercise anyway worked. Anybody else want to share?
Kelly, Geraldine in France wrote in. She's on the webcast. And she says, hello, Kelly. The first days the red string was a reminder, and after I did not wear it, but I tried to be kind with myself. That was an unusually very easy, that was as usually very easy to practice with other people.
All right, beautiful. Did anybody do it and actually get a tally? Just curious.
I did tally every day, but it seemed to be more the same. I didn't go way up or anything because I got busy with everyday life, and then it would be towards the end of the day. But I tallied, I usually got about 8 or 9 per day, which I think is a lot for me.
I appreciate that. And were the loving thoughts the same? Did any of you notice that you went to the same loving thought, or did that exercise help you think of something new? Any sharing there?
It helped me think outside the box.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, that's a good point. It did help me. The thing I noticed about this week was just I opened up. I'm becoming more aware of being able to receive love, and that is so hugely important. Which what Archangel Michael, said last week. If I can't love myself, I'm not going to be able to love others. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the receiving part of, a lot of times he'll, give love, but it's a receiving. It's a cycle, right?
Right.
And, all right, if there's no more sharing on that, I remember one of the other exercises was the love letter. Did anybody write the love letter, and do you mind sharing parts of it or all of it with our group here?
I did write the love letter. It's in my special spot, so I don't have it with me.
Okay.
Get it?
Yeah, well, it's not three blocks down the way or something, Did anybody else do the law? I'll leave that up to you. Did anybody else write the love letter? And if you didn't write the love, okay, do you want to share some with us?
Yeah, I wrote the letter. and it did take me a while to concentrate and really focus my thoughts on love about myself.
All right. It's probably part of the exercise for some of us. And what did you come up with?
What did I come up with? I like the letter because I had it in my special spot too. That when I am being hard on myself, that I pull it out and I can see how much love I do have for myself. It ended up showing that I had a lot of love for myself. Was
it a long letter?
It's 2.5 pages.
That's pretty long.
It's long, yeah. It was a good exercise.
Appreciate it. And, keep coming back to it. Anybody else have something they wanted to share? I'm curious, did you start with your physical attributes or the things that you did for one another? And, if some of you did create that sacred space, I'm just grateful as the messenger that, these are things that you can keep going back to again and again and again and again and again. Sometimes it might be very hard and you might not have much of a letter at all to begin with. And then it should grow and grow and grow. Let's see, what was the other exercise Michael gave us? Wasn't there another one?
Yeah, doing things for strangers.
Oh, yeah, how did that go? Did anybody take that to heart?
I had so much fun with that. I think it was a really good exercise.
Well, can you do a little sharing?
I let somebody go ahead of me in line on something that, we were waiting for. So I thought that was nice for someone. I mean, I know I would have. Or smiled at a stranger in a restaurant who was sitting by himself. Bought a meal for somebody, like anonymously. So those are my things.
Beautiful. How about anybody else? If you dropped off, if you kind of lost sight of that stranger thing, pick it up and it's not week by week, it's life by life, day by day. So, move to it the next time. I did a very similar thing, letting someone go in front of me in the grocery line. That seems where I tend to get a little, hurried, or this is my space, I want to get in and out of the grocery store in a hurry. Those were the main exercises, weren't they? And if they are, then we'll kind of move into joy, our lesson today.
And pampering ourselves, that was kind of fun too. I did a few things I did a few things that unless that had been mentioned, I probably would have blown right past them. And the time opened up, and they're done, and I feel better. Just like simple things like shaving my legs and painting my toenails and having fun with it. So, yeah, I'm grateful for that also.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I think that was the last one, pampering. Anybody else do any pampering?
Did the whole hot bath with candle. That was always really nice for me. Beautiful.
More pampering if you got more chances. These are now week by week pamper. Okay. Now let's see.
Kelly. I'm sorry, Kelly. Geraldine has a couple more comments. She also wrote herself a love letter, but in French, and she put laugh out loud, and I think that sounds absolutely perfect. And then she also says, yes, the exercise about smile with strangers was very nice. I was amazed with the great number of people who were so smiling to me like an answer to my smile.
Beautiful.
I love the way she put that.
I appreciate that. One of the very first, near the end of Michael's first book he shared with me, Into the White Light, what are the ways to demonstrate love? A smile, a sigh of contentment, not a sigh of discontentment, but a sigh of contentment, like, of course, a hug, a smile, touch, very simple things that we can do. Let's talk about the power of joy today now. And hopefully everybody got that notice from me about a few more objects Michael's looking for. Yellow paper, yellow ribbon or string, yellow lemon, a white heart cut from white paper or cloth, or any white heart that speaks to you. So again, these objects are optional. If you got them, I'd like to talk about, just bring Michael in and have him kind of move into what he wants us to share with the objects, new ways to bring joy in our life. Michael, we're ready for this teaching now. What would you like us to do as our learning here together? Okay. This is what I'm hearing you saying. Those of you that have a yellow lemon, or will get one later, I'd like you to cut it in half and give one half to someone that you think has no joy in their life. You don't need, obviously not in the moment, unless someone is standing right there and participating, but in the days that follow between now and our next time together, those of you, that's part of the purpose of the lemon. Those of you that have come to my work before through her do know that lemons vibrate on the frequency of joy. It would have been energetically also shared in your star healing session. Those particles, the residue of them, they never really completely leave the light field. So even in the worst turn of circumstances, one might say, as an opportunity to learning, there's still what I would call an energetic resin on the cells of those of you that were either given the energetic lemon oil in your healing, or if you choose to put lemon oil in the palm of your hands from time to time, or when you have a real lemon, as a yellow lemon, as I'm calling it, and holding it in your hand. So cut it in half. Give one to a friend. Teach them that the power of joy partially can be given energetically when it's shared, and that's what that particular fruit represents. Some of you, I think, some of you may feel as though that it's a little too messy for you. To this I say, if it's to be practically minded about this, wrap the lemon in a bag or a cellophane or something. If it moves you, you're not going to diminish the energetic power of lemons. There's one teaching here I would like to make mention. Size doesn't always matter in terms of energetics, but with the frequency of joy, quite often we find that it does and can have a bearing. So don't worry if you've collected some small lemons for this time together, but moving forward, if you continue this in your life, if you're feeling, again, a little depletion of joy, bigger lemons do carry larger power. It's not that way across every energetic tool or symbol, but it is with the lemon particularly. Teach the souls that you choose to share the lemon or lemons with. Some of you might want to do it quite regularly and share it with your neighbors in total. Some of you may find it hard-pressed to even have the courage or the wherewithal, like, who am I going, or even knowing this, who would be receiving of this other lemon, and will they really understand it? So be at peace with this. Grow into yourselves as alchemists and true beings of light, and don't strain or stress over this. The person will be presented to you that the other half of the lemon is to be had. At that point, you can hold it in either hand as long as one may desire. It doesn't necessarily need to be held in a yogi position, you might say, but if it moves you to be in that yogi-type position, fine and well. Some of you may hold it and feel the resonance of it energetically for 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. That would be ample time. In other words, it doesn't need to be extended any longer than that. You may certainly reuse the lemon if you want to wrap it up practically, put it in a place of safekeeping, if you will. You can go to it again and share the vibration of the lemon with someone else. The yellow ribbon, we're going to do the very similar thing I'm be asking that we did with the red string. Those of you that have gathered the red ribbon or the red string, going to do the same thing. Where attention is placed, attention begets, I would say. So this time, just for a little bit of uniqueness and fun, and also because not everything needs to go around the wrist, this particular yellow ribbon, I would be asking those of you to think that it be wrapped around a finger. Okay, wrapped around a finger on the left hand. Doesn't matter. Some of you might wear quite a bit of jewelry and find it, the finger itself doesn't matter. It could be what's known as the ring finger. It could be any finger on the left hand. And again, I'd be asking you with intent to take the next time between now and our time together to note when you're in a joy-filled state. Move it to the other finger of the right hand, and move it back to the left if you're finding throughout your day that you're not in such a joy-filled state. This movement from finger to finger might go back and forth all day long for some of you. Others of you might find that you're in a joy-filled state longer, in which case it will stay on one of the other fingers, if I'm being clear with this. Kind of very similar thing that we did before. The yellow paper. It's not as though we're going to have all the exercises necessarily presented the same, but there will be some synchronicity here. The yellow paper, yellow vibrates on the same frequency as joy also. It's not all about a lemon. It's not all about a color. We're also going to talk about the numeric equivalent of joy today, similarly as to what we did with love and kindness. The yellow paper is going to be a similar exercise, asking each and every one of you with intent to take some time and write down things it is that bring you joy on the yellow piece of paper. That would be my preference. If you didn't have a yellow piece of paper, a white piece of paper will do as well. So that would be the assignment with the yellow piece of paper. What it is between now and the next time, as many things as you can possibly note that brings you joy. Again, I'm going to call it a tally, although it looks like the tally system, it may, again, it's not about getting a number for souls. So if it rebounds in the souls, this time around you find that you're actually keeping a number system and you like that, and it does develop a little more deeply, fine and well. Okay? So what brings you joy? Who brings you joy? That will go on the yellow piece of paper. I would like some consistency added to it. The more consistent someone is, quite often will be more restorative to the frequencies of the body, as if one might say, well, I only had Wednesday night to do this, or next Saturday evening, and so I'm going to kind of recount and go back over that, because the mind tends to forget, and we are trying to build new circuits, as the one soul was kind enough to share, of memory. So if it's done in a more regular fashion, that would be well and good and well and advised. The white heart cut from white paper or cloth. You can do this, of course, after today. On the white heart itself, here's what I would like those of you to consider to be sharing on the white heart, made out of cloth, piece of paper. Some of you might be drawn to cut something out of canvas or wood and paint the wood yellow, or be a little more creative and imaginative, but I'll leave that up to you. What do you think might go on the white heart? The white heart might require a little more thinking. On the white heart, I'd like the heart big enough so that it can be filled. You could fill it front and back. There's no wrongness about this. I'd be asking your minds and hearts to think about what has robbed you from joy in the past. Again, let me just restate that. What may have robbed you from joy in the past? Who might have robbed you from joy in the past? And I know all things are a matter of perspective, but in the way we're presenting the teaching, again, there's no judgment. How something might have become less joyful to you. And then somewhere within this exercise, I'd like a number. Those of you that have heard some of this teaching before, what do I share to her? You know, in the ideal world, everyone is promised a huge amount of joy. It's expected in one's life. And as life goes on, if things are not amplified, and the human experience has a myriad of experiences, that is to be true. But in the ideal world, the model that you would have in your mind is, if you've not heard this teaching before, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the very highest amount of joy that any person, place, or thing would bring you, from this, let's call it an exercise with the white heart, of past experiences, past relationships, present moment also. So this white heart, some of you might say, oh, the white heart's going to be as big as a room, my kitchen table. And I would say, well, then make more white hearts because we're going to be transforming them, and you'll transform them with their work. So if you have if you need additional, let's say, space on the white hearts, again, what was taking me from joy in my past? What might be taking me away from joy? What are the things, the people, the experiences, my own thinking? What might be taking me away from joy? Is it my work? Is it a certain aspect of my work? You can be very detailed with this exercise, and in some way, the more detailed or the thought intention that you put into it, you know, the more meaning and growth you'll get out of this. So that would be on the pieces of paper, multiple pieces of paper, and then this going back to this number series. When that's finished, near the end of the week, if it's at all possible, in a reflective way, ask yourselves. You can assign this number. You know, how much joy do I have in my life presently? And as I say to many souls, the number that we want to see in everyone's life, on the scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highest, is 8, 9, or 10. And I'd be asking you to be thoughtful and perhaps thorough enough with this particular exercise so we can get more growth for everyone here. And again, we can be discreet with the sharing because this is a global collection of spirits here. So know there can be anonymity. But if there are, without being too personal, there should be a number that's assigned collectively to where you feel joy is in your life. Look at all the aspects. Look at your health. Look at your relationships. Look at your social component of yourself. Look at those around you. Look at how you might feel internally when you wake up in the day. Examine it again at night. Whatever number you come up with collectively, I'd like at least one number assigned. The number may be 3. So be it for now. He's saying the number might be 7. Our goal for everyone, really, is to identify and come back together with a number in the safety of the sharing. In fact, even that can be done anonymously if you want to say, I'd like to share what your number is. And then I want to work with each and every one of you that may not have a number that ranks an 8, 9, or 10, 10 being the highest, in the areas of your life and work on ways to get that number up there. Okay? Some of you might find that as you do this, well, Michael, I don't have one number that I want to average. I might have a 9 on a relationship that I'm in, but I might have a 1 with my work. Well, you could, if you want to let's call it tally. If you want to make note of it in that way and share in that way, please do so. Okay? You don't have to average because it's quite likely that many of you have this type of life in the moment, right? Your health might be in pain. You might have some emotional suffering. And you might say, well, Angel, that's really a 2. But when you ask me about my work, I'm writing like a 7 or an 8. That gives me a lot of joy. So you can disseminate it in that way again rather than average them together so that we can look at the aspects again of the whole component of your life being of body, mind, and spirit and see, maybe you'll put that in your heading, okay? Body, mind, and spirit, joy. 1 to 10, and then use the kind of daily or every other daily kind of consistent experience and ask yourself. Some of you might think that you'll have an experience that you anticipate to be joyful, and something comes up and it's quite the opposite, and this will occur in life. In other words, let me just give you kind of a fun example. Let's say that in our time before we meet the next time, that someone loves to play golf, and you played golf your whole entire life, and like golf. Well, let's say that on this one particular day that the sun is hot. Let's say your best friend you golf with isn't there. Let's say that you don't even shoot any score anywhere near, and you get some of the joy by being quite accomplished at something. And let's say that the green tea fees have gone up, leaving you in a little state of discombobulation because something's gone out of awry. Again, this is all the portion of how I'd like to help us all self-examine, even when joyless or situations come into our life, the importance of how we transmute them, how our thinking can go back to this frequency, that's the love frequency, so that everyone, because these things will occur, so that everyone can, again, awareness to the situation is the tool for transformation. Does anyone have any questions about this or before we move on?
Hey, Kelly, actually, Geraldine does have a question. And she asked, please, could you repeat what we must do with the white heart, please? Thank you very much. We have to describe and rate each state. Is that it?
Okay, thanks. So on the white piece of paper, Michael's looking for what things rob you from joy. And again, I know we can only let things rob us from joy if we allow it, but that's the way he's wording it right now. Okay, if we're true to ourselves, and certainly there are. If you work long hours, and there's a part of you that's not, grateful or accepting, and it's tiring on your feet. I mean, that kind of thing is a reality, and it can be put in there, okay, or on that piece of paper. He's looking for things either from the past and or in the present moment, both. He said that you want to spend some thoughtful retrospection, okay, about what those experiences were, what those maybe relationships were, okay? Go back as far as you want to. If you want to go back to childhood, go back to childhood. If some of you are drawn to go more to the to what might have happened a year ago or in your present moment, okay, that's the kind of cataloging he's looking for there. Okay, instances that your mind is going to reflect upon that where some energy streaming was pulled away from joy, and including the present moment of your life, all the aspects of self. And that would include if you're not thinking joy-filled thoughts, well, that occurs, and I would, Monday I didn't really have any joy-filled thoughts. I was too busy, and we had however that may go for you, okay? Again, some people are just by nature more journally, wordy, writing than others, but this is how he's asking us to get our thoughts down so we can move, progress ourselves. I hope I answered that for you. I'm not going to, if not, just chime in again later, okay? I want to ask Michael about, I heard earlier he wants other homework assignments, kind of like what we did there before, and let me just bring those through, okay? Michael, what would be, because he wants us to use our senses is what I heard earlier today. So I'd like to move to the senses exercises to bring more joy. So, Michael, what would you like to do there? Okay, he's saying, I'd like everyone that might be listening here to put it on their to-do list between now and when we meet again, to smell 5 to 10 different things that bring you joy. Smell. We're going to be invoking other senses now. Smell. 5 to 10 things that bring you joy. Everybody got that? Next, I'd also be asking your hearts and minds to make it your intention to have the same number of 5 to 10 or more things that you taste that bring you joy. Everybody got that? Next, my friends, I'd like everyone to do and jot down and experience, really, not just jot down what you're going to do, experience 5 to 10 things that you can listen to or you're choosing to listen to that bring you joy. Sense of sight. I'd be asking each and every one of you to take action, then record 5 to 10 images, scenes, places you visited, perhaps, and kind of focus on the sight aspect of what's giving you joy, and make note. To stretch you a little further, I would say, some of you I would be asking to stretch yourselves and move into areas you've not done before. So let's say you know it brings you joy to listen to Mozart. Well, fine. That certainly can be one of the 5. But stretch yourselves. If you think something might bring you joy, that's just as valuable as kind of going back from your past experiences. In fact, in some ways, stretching yourself to something that you've never experienced before is going to even do some more hard wiring for the brain and the cells. So it can be a combination, really. Again, if you know the things that you taste that bring you joy, be adventurous, be creative. Creative streams of energy are concurrent with what means being in the flow. So if you think it brings you joy to make some homemade stew and put some okra in it, and you've never eaten okra, then be a bit adventurous with this too. Some of you will be more adventurous than others. Have I mentioned all the sights? Touch. Last thing, touch. A little bit with the lemon, but not really. I'd be asking each and every one of you with intent on a consistent basis between now and when we meet again to touch 5 to 10 things that you're led to. I would say it in that manner, that will bring you joy. Touch it, hold it, feel it. Maybe it's with intent embracing your partner longer. Then embrace them longer. Maybe it's picking up something from nature, a fallen leaf that's quite beautiful in some parts of the world right now. Maybe it's dipping your hand in some spring water and bringing the spring water to your mouth. Holding, gathering sacredly something in your hands, either singly or together. Maybe for some of you it would be picking up a special gift someone gave you that you haven't looked at and thought about in a long time, or a card or a reminiscence, something. Touch, either holding it or extending the joy frequency to others. Is everyone clear on this? I'd like to move on to the numeric equivalent of joy in our teaching here. Oh, we just jogged my memory now. This is Kelly talking. We didn't really talk about. Did anybody do that harmonic code Michael presented before with love, and were there any energetic sharings or shiftings? Maybe we'll bring them in a minute. So, Michael, we would like to hear the numeric code for joy, and I'm sure there's different levels of joy, and there's probably different, exponential things on this. And then I think he's going to ask us to create some kind of other energetic form that will symbolize in an alchemist kind of way an object that we can have. Maybe he'll suggest some stones that help empower joy for those of you that might be more into gemstones and things of this nature. Michael, what would the number series harmonic code, Harmonics can be made in many different ways, but because we're talking about numbers right now, what is the A harmonic code if someone wants to, again, write that with their finger, as we called it in the air last time, draw it on a piece of paper, draw it in the sand, draw it in the dirt. What would the number code be for joy? Okay, this is what I'm hearing. 88881. So in that order, there were six numbers, 88881. And when we're doing it right now at this level, it's kind of like, we write from left to right in a line. Okay, they're not going up and down. The numbers are all the same visual size. They're not going to be one's bigger than another, so you want to have some mindfulness in your vision if you're going to draw the number series for joy in front of you, that they are kind of the same consistent size, okay, and the spacing between the numbers is kind of equal. And then I'd like to ask Michael as a group if he wants us to kind of, with intent, project that with our minds, because we're powerful beings. We want to ask him if he wants us to project that to particular places in the world that might need more joy, and or you yourselves personally do it. So with this, again, exercise, if you have family members, for example, that are going through some, let's say, tough times, if you follow places in the world, you can, of course, as much as you want to get involved in this, do the number series. As he advised us before, you're not going to overdo any. These are energy. This is energy. Maybe one code a day, but I'm going to listen for what his suggestion is, but don't let that limit us. So if some of you know, my personal concern and what would bring me more joy is to send this harmonic code over to the animal shelters, then also send that animal code over to the animal shelter, okay? All you need to do is project. You don't need to be by the animal shelter, for example. You just write the number series, and again, the projection of it, if you're doing it in the air, a lot of times you can lift it up with both of your hands and, kind of lift it up in an exalted way and kind of gently just imagine in your minds, if nothing else, that you're kind of floating that healing series of joy where it is you want to intend, okay? So if that's a good model for everybody to understand. So you can do your personal places and things with that number. I'd like to bring in Michael again and ask him, do you need us to do other work with the number series before we move on with this code? Yes, okay, he's saying yes, bring it into your heart. So if everybody's still following along here, the number code is written, let's say, in front of us with our finger. Imagine it there if you don't see it. Some of you will feel it. Again, it's not, I don't want to limit what you already have as awakening beings. Maybe some of you will see it energetically, feel it. If you don't, it's there. It's real. He's saying, so take that number series, take both hands, as I'm just kind of imagining he's asking, and bring the number series into my heart. Okay, hold it. Touch the physical body with the number code that he just gave us for joy. And breathe. And imagine. If there's no energetic feeling, it's all well. It's where you are right now. If there's an energetic sort of warmth or trembling, he's saying, that can occur. Others of you will see sparks of light, sparks of rainbow, sparks of many things come from this. Hold it as long as you wish. What would be a reasonable amount of time? Anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple of minutes. Then you can take your hands away from your heart. The number series will still be there. It's never gone. He says, in fact, when we did cherry tossing, we'll move to lemon tossing in just a moment. Just know that number series can be sort of wrapped up, condensed, shrink your hands together and put it in your pocket if you want. Take it out later and use it again. It's almost like you've ever reused a utensil and you're out on a picnic. You clean it up, you can put it in your pocket, and you get it out and you reuse it again. So that's one element, okay, with the number. Then I would like to see, some of you might want clearer direction on where to kind of cascade this joy-filled frequency. And here they're not going to be necessarily this time in geographic regions. They're going to be in collective consciousnesses that I see that would be very useful, okay? May be very practically minded, but to those all over the world that have no one else to love, it would be appropriate to send the healing harmonic of joy to them. Okay, you use your global intention. That's the way it would be stated, and then project or sort of kind of gently push over to those that have no one to love. They may be orphans. They may be the elderly. They may be teenagers. They may be of souls of all types. And allow the feeling to feel. Do it with intent. Be pure of intent. I use this word often. Be pure of intent. If some of you would like another assignment, the joy frequency is going to be very useful for the plant kingdom and the animal kingdom. We can use the same harmonic of joy for both. So, no necessarily different harmonic. I'll move into that training probably a little bit later. So again, I personally feel as though that there are many circus animals that do not have a joy. I do feel that there are many beasts of burden that are still used all over the world, that they still are in that way of beast of burden. So if it moves some of you to send the joy frequency, as I'm calling them, to the beasts of burden, besides what I'm calling the circus or entertainment animals, those that may be also aquatic in nature, any of the animals that may be in what I would be calling a less than natural environment for them. And so this would certainly involve any of the large cats. It could involve any of the large lemurs. It could involve any of the large gorillas, any of the large sea mammals, any and all of the, for man's benefit, animal kingdom. The plant might surprise some of you, thinking that plants don't need much more joy support, but in fact they do. The elementals share this with me, and in fact some of even in the rockin' kingdom do, but we're going to kind of finalize this teaching or assignment with the plant kingdom. Again, certainly some of you are going to know, well, and I would like this recorded. I think some of you will find this quite fascinating. If you have a plant that's dying in your home and you're tending to it to the best way you can, the number series can be wrapped in a circle kind of around the plant if it's small enough in nature. It can be written in a linear fashion in conjunction or being in the near proximity of it. It can be a gently kind of pushing movement from where you wrote it to the plant or the plants, even bushes and hedges that may be dying. Okay? So you can try it very much in your own personal yards, you might say. If they're even in a dormant state, the joy frequency will help a plant go through its dormant state, if it's a seasonal thing, in a way that will enrich it and empower it to bloom, if it's a blooming plant, more fully next season, or it will allow it to go into its natural hibernation or dormancy in such a way that it will be in somehow more thriving and more sustainable when it shows itself, let's say, at the end of another season. I also feel as though if some of you are looking for a place to send this joy frequency to particular plants that are in need, I would say rice. Okay, rice. Rice where? Rice really in many places, because as I see it, the vibration of rice needs it more than others. So some of you might find it useful to think and place yourselves in any and all rice paddies, because it's not just My friends, he's saying it's not just the rice itself, it's those souls that work in the rice paddies to get the rice from the plant to where it is, to where it may land on your table. So if you send the joy frequency, you certainly could do it to corn. You could do it to maize. You could send the healing frequency to many other plants if it moves you. It's wherever your heart may lead you, but particularly rice and those that harvest the rice for global food source, because it is, as I say, it's partly based on the way that the rice is garnered from the plant and the conditions that many souls on earth are being, have to gather the rice. That would be my request. Okay. Michael, what about, teach us a little more about the healing power of sound, joy through sound. Are there certain sounds that carry a higher joy vibration than others? Could you share that with us now? Yes, he's saying, okay, yes, as I see it, there are certain vibrations and certain instruments that do carry a frequency. It's sort of like, do you know the chakra system? Some of them respond with certain do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Very basic, he's saying. But here are some of the instruments or the sounds. If some of this is completely new to you, I'm trying to keep the teaching at a kind of, as he's saying, as a basic level here. Although those of you that have greater wisdom and greatest wisdom about this, be sure to share it with us in our group for our learning. But to the sounds that do impart joy as a frequency through a musical instrument. Certainly, laughter. Before we do the musical instruments, laughter is a joy frequency. So try, as part of our time here together, laugh more, even if it has to be self-induced laughter. Movies are great for this. Silliness is great for this. Children can be great from this. So the natural sound of your own laughter shouldn't be excluded. Just combining inner tools with outer tools to try to enrich your lives in some way. So make it your intention to laugh more, okay? It may be even a false laugh at first. Fine. Doesn't matter. Just laugh and laugh and laugh and try to laugh more and help others laugh in our time here before we meet again with others. Laughter. Out loud. Belly laugh. Belly laugh till you can't belly laugh anymore. Make it your intention. It's part of your homework assignments in our loving grace, as we say to you. And then back to some of the sounds as I see it that resonate. Some of you might find that the piccolo, or know that the piccolo as I see it, has the tenure, or the tempo, the tenure and the tempo and the tenure to approximate the frequency of joy. So does a baby's rattle. I say to you, I suggest to you, some of you, if you pick up, even if it's in a store, a baby's rattle, ask yourself how you feel after the rattle. Okay, so piccolo, infant rattle, chimes. Normally wind chimes, as they're called on your earth, of a very high-sounding chime. Some of you respond to a lower-sounding chime, but when they naturally chime together, let's call them chimes, not wooden chimes, but let's call them metal chimes of some frequency. Those are just a few examples of the outside or exterior world sounds that you can bring in with intent and allow yourself to try to just make mental note. Maybe the piccolo for some of you, well, I enjoyed it. I think it was joy. Some of you may disagree and say, well, I really liked the baby's rattle. That did it for me. But try to play with these sounds before we convene again the next time. All right. Michael was finished with that sharing. Linda, are there any comments from anybody? Any writing questions before we kind of see where he wants us to go next? Oh, I will
just
say
one.
This. Just a second, sorry. I will say this if it wasn't clear. If everybody can note the feeling after you've done these things, that's an important, awareness. Note how you felt. Okay? All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
We have, Geraldine wants to know if we can confirm the Harmonic Joy code, please.
Sure. It was 88881.
Okay, and also she asked about the harmonic code for love. You told us that we were to do it one time a day. So for the joy code, it seems that we have to practice it several times a day. Is that correct?
Okay, thanks for that clarity, because sometimes messages, there's a lot to absorb, and so on the code for the joy, he's giving suggestions. Well, let me ask: is everyone, Michael, all those suggestions about where the joy can go? Is that one code a day, or are you suggesting that people are kind of getting more used to the coding work from the love and kindness, and that they can do more than one a day if it moves them? Use their inner knowing. He says, I welcome the clarity there that Gabrielle is asking. So use your inner knowing. I wouldn't use any joy code more than 5 times in a day. Again, these are energy, transmissions, and if some of you are not used to having a joy-filled life, you will be detoxifying. We didn't really talk about that at the beginning of our call, but maybe we want to make note of it the next time. And that would be, let's just make the restatement, okay? Again, as Michael said, if there hasn't been a huge amount of joy in your life and you're starting to, get into more of these codes, you could be releasing, very much like in a star session perhaps, or other types of energy work. You might feel temporarily fatigued. You might become more emotional. Those would be the 2 kind of signs that, you're releasing because you're in the frequency more of maybe something you haven't been in. So water is going to be a handy tool just throughout all of our classes here. Just consider water, part of replenishing and allowing any toxins to move from your body more fully or more quickly. Okay, so no more than 5 times a day with joy. Some of us are getting more muscled up, some others aren't. But most of that message, as I understood it, was to know that it's not just for you, right? You can do it to your heart, but do it in other places and other means. So we've got 7 days. If you want to do it, let's say 3 times a day, 3 times 7, give it an average, 21 places, to send that frequency, okay? Hope that's helpful. Thanks for the question. Anybody else have a question? No? Okay.
Yeah, Kelly, just one more.
Okay.
Geraldine asked, what is the baby's rattle? I'm not sure to have well understood. And I think you're talking about a baby's toy that rattles when you shake it, right?
Yes, yes. Mhm. So you don't have to if you don't have a baby rattle and you're not out at the store and your life is, he's just suggesting other sounds that approximate the joy frequency. Okay? Baby rattle, was it piccolo? What was the third thing Michael said? Darn it. Well, be in or
it was chimes, Kelly.
Chimes.
More specifically, metal chimes.
Okay, thanks, Linda.
You're welcome.
Okay. Okay, spending enough time in the frequency so that the frequencies grow. Okay? So kind of a lot of work, I guess, or as much as you want to put into it. Okay, and note the feeling after the exercises and bring forth the sharing. I would like to maybe just go ahead and make mention for the next gratitude. I would like to ask Michael if there are some more props, let's call them, or tools to use with everyone now, and then we'll do some kind of blessing closing, okay? Archangel Michael, the attitude of gratitude. Are there objects that you'd like everyone to bring in preparation for that time together? Okay, this is what I'm hearing. An apple, and guys, bring what you can, okay? An apple. Oh, my goodness. It's getting a little more creative on us. A thermometer. A violet piece of string or thread or rope or something similar as we've been using. Something of your own imagination that signifies gratitude to you, but I'd like it to be an object, and I'd like the group to share. So, for example, if someone gave you a locket, I'd ask you to bring the locket. An object that's doable for you, that you'd like to bring forth and share the gratitude feeling that you felt when you were given an object. You found an object. Maybe some of you found an arrowhead and are connected to the Earth Mother and find that sharing. So the other object would be given, found, discovered, a third-dimensional object in nature. Are there any others? Another white piece of paper. This one would be cut in a circle. Okay, is there anything else, Michael, there? Oh, something silver. Something silver. So if it's easier for some of you to have another silver thread or a silver ribbon or something silver, okay? Many coins are silver if they still have silver in them. So that could be an idea for someone. Something silver. Might be a silver pen. Okay, try to just make it workable for us so we get the objects there. Silver. Some of you might have a silver candelabra, silver watch, something of that nature, okay? Silver. Okay? So if we got that all good and well, Michael, Jesus, Mary, someone come forth. Bless us in our time in closure. What would you like to say? In our time here in closing, it gives us all collectively great pleasure. You might call us the Council of Nine that sits at the feet of God, Source, God, Mind, Infinite Mind, Allah, Creator, who created all goodness, whatever name you might associate with the Source. We ourselves call ourselves the Council of Nine through her. You might imagine 9 avatars of some sense, if it will. We're 9 aspects of you. Now, each of you have avatar energy. Each and every one of you are divine, of course, in every way. In bringing this session to a close, know that each and every one of you have been given a special, as we call it, an anointing. Your higher selves and your own guardian angels have asked us to give the anointing, and it gives us joy to do so for coming to the awareness, making this time, making and being faithful to yourselves, knowing that joy is the frequency that is such an important one on earth. It's needed not only for you yourselves, it's needed for the planetary ascension. The symbol that some of you might have felt or might feel in the coming days ahead was a very small gold, looks like a circular form. If some of you are already seeing it, doesn't matter if you see it or not. Gold is the highest healing element on the planet. We were asked to give it again by your guardian angels, and we were pleased to do so. We'll never disappear. the placement, some of you, where did we place it energetically in our loving grace? Above the crown, above the third eye. Some of you may see it shift and move. It's a very small circle in this moment. Do not worry. Do not concern your minds if you don't see it. If you don't feel it, know that it's there. As I say, it's a gift that's been given for your service and your time here. There are many more gifts that you will be giving yourself. Give the gift of yourself. Give the gift of joy to yourself first. Until we meet again, be humble, be blessed. Know that you're perfect in all ways. Thank you. All right, so with that closing, I want to thank everyone again for joining us. And thanks, Linda. You did a great job. I couldn't do these calls without you, truly. And everyone have a blessed and bright rest of the day. We'll reconvene at this time next week.